Your time is sacred. I want to help you make the most of it by ritualizing your work time because you have holy shit to do. I'm Christy Casey, and this is Making Belief, where we talk about the art and science of experience design. This video is part of my spiritual experiences for atheists series. I put atheists in quotes because I personally prefer the term skeptic, but I feel like atheist is more clickable, and I gotta work with the algorithm here. So I decided to kick off this series with experiences inspired by the fruits of the spirit, and it felt quite fitting for the month of January to do self-control. Yay, resolutions! I define self-control as prioritizing action towards long-term benefit over personal comfort. Now that doesn't mean denying yourself pleasure, at least not all the time. I'm a believer that a little bit of indulgence is just as important as self-control, and there is research to back that up, linked in the description as always. But that is a subject for another time, and today we are focusing on self-control, which is definitely a challenge for me. In today's world of instant gratification, it's really easy to let time slip away without doing the work. But we've got holy shit to do, so we cannot afford to lose our most precious resource. Side note, I haven't actually explained holy shit yet. This little matchbox I got at Volksbühne in Berlin. I was 20, so 12 years ago. Holy shit. Holy shit. 12 years ago, I got this little matchbox, and at the time I was still religious, but I still thought there was something funny about it. To me, it's this like paradox of when you create art, it in a way is holy and in another way is shit. In some ways it's infinitely valuable, and in other ways it contributes nothing. So while art is wholly impractical, it is also wholly sacred. And that's what holy shit means to me. I just think it's fun. I am very much thinking about making my own line of merch for this because there is no way to get this matchbox. And I also really want a candle that says holy shit. And I made a little mock-up because I want it to be real. So if you would want to have those as much as I would, leave a comment below, and maybe we'll start a pre-order to make those a real thing. Originally, I was planning to do this like whole life design thing for self-control. I'm gonna be real honest and admit that I have not been very on top of those practices. Between being away for the holidays and then coming back to the LA fires and everything else going on in the world, me figuring out a life plan for self-control that was tested enough to share with y'all was not realistic. But I have been honing a ritual for my focused work sessions for really a few years now, and it has been tremendously helpful. So I turned it into a template, and I am very excited to share it with you. There is a link down in the description below for you to copy this template. So go ahead, head there, and we'll walk through it together. In the next video, I will skip the explanation and just do the ritual together. But because this channel is about experience design, I wanted to take the time to break it down and explain why each of the steps are there. I'm also going to walk you through the Notion template that I built that is not just a step-by-step guide to how to do these rituals, but also a tracker so that you can see over time if you are actually spending your deep work sessions on things that are moving you towards your goals, the things that really matter, the holy shit. So when you first duplicate the template, this is what you're gonna see. This is your tracking page. We're gonna skip this for now and come back to it and start with looking at a focus ritual card. So I'm gonna click this here, and it's gonna make us a little card. We're gonna drag it into the tracker, which will make more sense later, and then we're going to open this page. Typically, I would fill some of this out here, but we're gonna skip that from now. So this first section here is the prep work. This is gonna seem like a lot right now, and it is a lot to explain, but once you understand it and start using it, it's gonna become more and more intuitive, and you're gonna be able to do it quicker and quicker. So as I say in this note here, to ensure you don't let the prep become the procrastination, set a 5-minute timer for this prep work. If you're gonna do a full day of focus, then sure, take the time, do all the things, but don't let perfection keep you from the work. This is something that I need to remind myself of constantly. I went ahead and in each of these sections, I highlighted the things that I personally find to be essential. They are red, they are highlighted in green, and they are bolded. So it should be really obvious what those things are. So in my experience design practice, I use a framework called SPICE that was originally designed for my interactive theater work, but I've found that it applies to all kinds of experience design. I won't go into detail about SPICE right now because there is a video about that coming very soon if it's not here already. But for a very quick overview, it is social reinforcement, purpose, identity, circumstances, environment. And as we go through this experience design, that will make enough sense that I'm just gonna leave it there for now. Although these elements did very serendipitously arrange themselves in order of impact, in practice I tend to use them out of order. So in the template, you'll notice that they are not in order of the acronym. First, we have acknowledge your circumstances. How much time do you have right now, and what can you realistically get done in that time? If there is something urgent that you're feeling compelled to do, pause and ask yourself, is that urgent thing actually the most important thing? The answer might be yes, but it's worth considering if this thing that feels like it's gotta happen right now might not actually be the most important thing. Might be something that is a distraction. And lastly, take care of anything you need to free your mind up to focus. Maybe there's a specific message you need to send. Maybe you need to set an alarm to make sure that you don't get into hyper-focus mode and forget about that appointment you have later. Do you need to pee? Do you need to eat? Whatever it is, just take a moment to take care of any needs that might keep you from focusing. Next, we have center your purpose. Now, this is arguably the most important step. It is so important to just know why you're doing what you're doing and what your actual goal is, so you know whether or not you're achieving it. You'll notice in the right-hand column, there is this little section here called My Purpose. This section is a synced section card, whatever they call it in Notion, and it will show up on all of the pages that I've put this sync on. And those points there are a sort of generalized version of my purpose. So you can use those as a jumping off point, but I would recommend getting really specific about what it is that drives you and what's that thing that is gonna keep you going when you're tired and you've been doing this for how many hours straight and you just wanna go to bed or watch a movie or play your game and you're like, no, I'm gonna do this because it matters. What's that thing? When you have a job, you're motivated by a paycheck, but when you're doing the holy shit, the artistic work, there's no real consequences to not doing it except that that thing won't exist. When I was a Christian, there was this like narrative that like you have to find your God-given innate purpose. And now that I don't believe in God, I don't believe that there is such thing as innate purpose, but that doesn't mean that you can't find purpose and meaning in life. It feels more like that Japanese thing that I forget the name of, where it's like the 3 concentric circles of like what you're good at, what you love, and what people will pay you for. So whether or not it's those 3 things, just the idea that purpose is something that you decide for yourself of like, this matters to me, this is meaningful, and this is the thing that's going to motivate me to do the work. So if you don't have that right now, it is not currently at the top of my priority list to make a video around developing purpose. Although if you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. But for now, there are plenty of other YouTubers who have done videos on finding your purpose. But at its core, it's really just about figuring out what you love and what motivates and excites you. So Once you've found your overarching purpose that drives you for your bigger projects, and then hopefully you've determined some projects that are guiding you towards that purpose, you have to decide the purpose of this specific focus session. So what are you going to use this sacred time for? We are focusing on one task at a time. I made a space in the right-hand column for you to write down your intention. And then you have it visually to remind you, this is what I'm focusing on. This one thing. If and when distractions arise, you're going to set them aside as quickly as possible by writing them down either in the column that I've made for you on the right. There's a section that says thoughts to save for later. Or if you have a pen and paper, like I have here, you can use that instead. Next, we have embody your most helpful identity. And this one is, in a lot of ways, very unnecessary. And it's something that I added more recently as I applied the SPICE framework to this ritual. But I've actually found it's really valuable. So all this means is you're going to take 1 to 3 characteristics of your ideal self that would accomplish this task. So if I'm doing a YouTube video, it might be, I am magnetic. People want to hear what I have to say. And if I'm doing a writing session, it might be, I'm a writer. Creative ideas flow through me. And just affirming that identity has shifted my state of mind to match that identity. This little bonus one here, which I definitely want to play with more. I haven't really done much of this yet. Dress the part. Like if you're gonna be doing managerial business stuff, maybe put on a suit jacket. If you're doing, things where you want to be cute and stylish and like edgy, go put on that outfit that makes you feel that way. Even if you're at your house by yourself, shifting the way you're dressed shifts the way you hold yourself. Okay, next we have create the environment. So gather your supplies. We've got water, a fun little beverage. I've got some tea here, but one of my favorites was when I was writing Second Star, which is the last immersive show that I did that was based on Peter Pan. In the writing sessions that I did for that script, I made myself a drink that I liked to call ocean water. And it was water, lime juice, some salt, and a simple syrup made with blue spirulina. So it was this beautiful aqua blue, limey, and a little bit salty, kind of like a virgin margarita limeade kind of thing. And it was my little treat that I made for myself whenever I did writing sessions, and it just felt really nice. So I would highly recommend making yourself a themed beverage for your focus sessions if it's appropriate. Next is a candle. As I said before, you don't want these tools to keep you from doing the work, but I think this is one of the most important things. It's what really makes it feel like a ritual. As with all of the elements of the environment, that candle is the cue for me to remember I have set an intention and I'm gonna keep coming back to it. If you do get distracted, do yourself a favor and remove the anchor cues so that you don't dilute their potency. Treat this space as sacred. If I'm gonna leave this task, I'm gonna blow out that candle. And the last thing on this list is noise canceling headphones or anything to play music. I do sometimes play my music out loud, but for me, the noise canceling headphones just somehow create this enclosed feeling, and they're absolutely vital when you're working in public. So this was the best splurgy purchase, second to my MacBook, that I've ever done. I love them dearly and I bring them everywhere. Headphones is a great segue into music. Set the soundscape. I have a few recommendations here. You'll notice none of them are Spotify playlists. I have found that the focus playlists on Spotify or whatever platform you're on, they're good, they're better than nothing, but I still get distracted by like at least one song has some weird lyrics or some sort of synthy whatever that draws my attention, and when the song changes, I notice that change and it brings me out of my focus mode. All of these options don't have that problem. Endel is an AI generated like binaural beats kind of lo-fi vibe app. They have focus and sleep and relax and all of these different soundscapes, but All of them are a continual flow that doesn't have any breaks. So it's really seamless and I can hyper focus for hours with Endel. Flow Tunes is one that I haven't really played with as much. If you're trying to create a specific vibe, I would say Flow Tunes is really great for that. They have like jazz club or acoustic guitar or coffee shop sounds or like nature bird sounds or ocean waves. And you can layer them on top of each other. I did a writing session with jazz and coffee shop sounds. And that was a really nice contrast to my typical like lo-fi beats. And the last rec is Lo-Fi Girl on YouTube. She has these videos that are like 2 hours long. So you can, once again, have uninterrupted flow. So that is another great option. The last checkbox in creating the environment is to remove distractions. And this is so important. Turn off your notifications. Hide your phone. Put it where you cannot see it, because if you see it, you're going to think about it and you don't want to be thinking about it. Close any unnecessary tabs. For those who are tab closing averse, download the browser app OneNote, and then you can just click this button here and it's going to turn all of your tabs into one tab. And then you can come back to it when you're done, or let go. When I started being disciplined about closing unnecessary tabs, I realized how few of them were actually important. I would open my computer and instead of focusing on what I intended to, I was looking at whatever tabs were open. And sometimes if that's the most important thing that you really need to remind yourself of, great, but most of the time it wasn't. So I've tried to get into the habit of closing out tabs, and anything that I actually need to get back to, I make a card for it in my Notion, and it's a task and it's something that I'm planning at a specific time later. So close your tabs. And the last thing is clear any clutter. This is one of those that I really need to set that timer to be like, you're done when this timer is up, and be like, okay, having a perfectly clean desk isn't going to prevent me from doing this task. But having a clear visual space makes it less likely that you're going to get distracted by something and or just be overwhelmed by clutter. Okay, last step in the prep phase. So social reinforcement. You'll notice that these are bullet points and not checkboxes. The others were do them all. This one is choose one of these options. And secondarily, you can choose none of these options. I do believe that adding social reinforcement is probably the most powerful thing you can do to hypercharge your focus sessions. But let's be real, that definitely should not be the thing that holds you up from doing your holy shit. But here are some ways that you can add social reinforcement and give yourself that little extra accountability to get it done. So the first one is to join a live facilitated focus session like Cave Day. There are a few other companies that are doing similar things now. Cave Day is the first one that I knew about, and of the ones I've tried, I feel like it's still the best one. They just are so clear and specific. The second bullet point is to join one of my focus rituals, particularly for the more creative work that I was doing. I just felt this desire to like make it a heightened ritual. And that's what led me to developing this worksheet, and what is leading me to start offering my own facilitated sessions. I will never be Cave Day. I'm not trying to start a company where I run constant sessions that you can hop into at any time, but I do want to host once a week this very special time that is held and treated as sacred for creatives to come together and do their holy shit. As I knock this over. And really prioritize what's the thing that's gonna bring your art into the world. And how do we really treat that as utmost, as sacred, as important? So hopefully when you see this, there will be some options available. And if not, there probably is. What brings me to my next bullet point is to use a body doubling video. I definitely plan to record and upload some facilitated focus sessions to my channel using this ritual and doing a few different kinds of sessions. Maybe they are at this moment when you watch this, but if they're not there yet, in the meantime, I made a playlist of body doubling videos from other creators. There is research behind, particularly for ADHD, how seeing another person move and be helps give you, once again, that visual mental cue of like, oh, right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So even in video format, body doubling can be a really helpful focus tool. Not as good as body doubling in person. So the next one is invite an accountability buddy or several to join you. I used to really love doing focus sessions with my roommate, but if you can't do it in person, you could also do it virtually. If you're like me and you do not currently have a paid video chat subscription, pretty much all of them cut you off at either 45 minutes or an hour, except Discord. So if you wanted to host a virtual co-working session with your friends, start a Discord and then do some co-working sessions. And this brings me to the other thing that I really wanted from Cave Day. Cave Day, you're always in a room with a whole bunch of strangers and like maybe you'll run into the same person once or twice. But I would love to meet with the same group of like, I don't know, 6 creators, but like the same people who know what you're working on, know what challenges you're facing, and are like able to support you and encourage you and keep you accountable to what you said you were going to be working on. I personally think that could be really powerful. And I love that this idea feels very parallel to the connect groups that I had in church. So bringing it back to this like spiritual practices for atheists. Connect groups were one of my favorite things in church life. You had this group of people that knew what was going on with you and met regularly. So I would love for these focus sessions with creators to really become something kind of like that. There's just the struggle of getting people to commit, which is the eternal struggle. I am currently looking for my little group of 6, and I want to be pretty specific about who those people are. But if you would want to host that for yourself too, one of the things that I might create in the future is like a little toolkit of how to create one of those groups. So let me know in the comments if that's something you would be into. Okay, this last option might not be applicable for you if you don't have your own channel, but go live on whatever social platform you have. When I did this, and still right now, I didn't really have an audience, that no one was tuning in live. But just the fact that I knew I was live and I knew that someone could join in did change the way I worked. Okay, we got through the prep work. I know it feels like a lot, but once you get the hang of it, it's not going to take that long, and you can skip as much as you want. Let's get to the work. You're going to set up your timer. I've added a timer to this page that you can use. It defaults to traditional Pomodoro, which is a 25-minute session and a 5-minute break. For me, 25 minutes is good for like tedious tasks that I'm really struggling to focus on. But if I'm doing writing or something that I want to get into a flow state, I need more time. You can go into the settings and change the amount of time. I like to set it to be 45 minutes. And I keep the 5-minute break until I do my 3rd session, and then I take a longer break. All right, so the first step is ritualize the time. Start your music if you haven't already. Take a moment to prepare your body and mind. Take some deep breaths. Do some movement exercise, like do a shakedown if you were a theater kid. Getting your blood flowing and dopamine happening is really helpful. As you're doing that, take that intention that you chose and that identity that you want to take on. This is your moment to set that, reflect that, and get it into your mind and your body. And then we have come to the moment where you light your candle. So like I said before, this candle really is like the symbol of your focus session starting. I like to start the music while I do my reflection and then hold off on lighting the candle until I'm ready to actually start working. Like this is the cue that work is starting, and really holding that as a like line in the sand sacred thing just helps me and my brain in that session. So now you're doing the work for as long as that timer is going and or that candle is burning. You have committed to monotasking on that intention that you set. When distractions arise, and they will arise, you're going to set them aside as quickly as possible, like we talked about. Let the music and the candle be the thing that anchors you in this focused state and continually reminds you of your intention and why you're here. Okay, so at the end of however much time you spent, the alarm's going to go off. You're going to take a break. If you're like me, you might find that you are in a flow. Feel free to snooze a little bit longer, 10 minutes, finish what you're doing, come to a good session end, but don't do another 30. Your brain can't function optimally for too long. You need to move your body, refill your water, go to the bathroom, reset your brain. You're not taking a long break yet. You're just taking something to reset your mind. So then you're gonna repeat those 2 steps, do the work, take a break, 1, 2, maybe 3 more times. And then eventually, you take a longer break. Actually walk away, take a meal, go for a walk, reset your brain. It's going to do wonders for your creativity. There is so much research around how creative insights are found not when you're grinding, but when you are taking breaks. So you've come to the end of your focus ritual. You want to leave the space as intentionally as you ended it. First, right where you left off, just make a little note for yourself so you know where you can pick back up from for the next session. Celebrate a win. Take a moment to appreciate the work that you've done. That could be as simple as I showed up today. The fact that you took the time, gave it intention is huge in a society where like a bajillion things are fighting for your attention at all times. So congratulate yourself and appreciate the work that you put in. And then of course you have to close the session by closing out these environmental cues that we've created. So you're gonna blow out the candle with your celebration in mind, and then you're gonna stop your music and you're gonna take a real break. You're gonna step away. You're gonna go for a walk. You're gonna eat some food. You're gonna like reset and give your brain a break. I'm really bad at honoring that. So that is one of my new resolutions in self-control, is to honor breaks because we need them. All right, and that is the end of our ritual. Feel free to hop off, but if you want to use my ritual tracker, we have another part of this video, which is to go through the tracker and show you how it works. Let's get to it. So we're going back to this first page here, the one that we skipped in the beginning. You'll see the purpose over to the right. Like I said, this is going to be on every page. You can edit these however you want, and if you want to make more of them, it's a little tricky, but you're going to get it so it highlights the full card, so not just the text. Once you get it highlighted, you right click and then you click duplicate, and then you can change the text and add more. There's probably a better way to do this, but that's what I know. So I'm going to Command Z that. So right below the purpose, you'll see my goals. That is where you should put your goals. Okay, so we're gonna go back to that button that we clicked on earlier, which is the click here to make your focus ritual card. It's gonna generate that page that I walked you through before. So you'll notice at the bottom, I have these buckets. And what we're gonna do as soon as that loads is we're gonna drag it to the bucket that we want. Now the buckets here are aligned with the buckets here. They are a connected roll up. I'm gonna put that one Instagram. And I'm just gonna say IG post. I would probably be more specific, but you'll notice because I dragged it into the bucket that says Instagram, it automatically filled that here, because I put it here. So if I make another card and I put that one in YouTube, you'll notice that it auto-populates YouTube. I want to set the date on these so I can keep track of when I'm doing them. And then I don't record the hours until after I do the sessions. But for the sake of this demo, we're going to pretend that I already did it. So let's say for an IG post, I probably did 45 minutes of work. I'm just going to round that up to an hour. But, you know, if you want to be literal about it, you can do 0.75 and that'll work just fine. And then for YouTube, I'm going to say 3. So if you notice, you know, look down here, I have these same buckets lined up and I have a goal number of hours that I want to spend in the week and then what I've completed. So I did 3 hours on YouTube and I did 1 hour on IG. And then I have this little bar of progress here to show me how close I am to my weekly goal. So you can always just change what these buckets are to suit your needs. I often find myself getting really overwhelmed when there's too many categories. So I've decided here, I'm just gonna stick to 3. But if you did want to create another bucket, all you have to do is come over here and you're gonna add a new page. And I'm gonna say housework. I don't personally want to keep housework in here, but it could. So I'm going to move that above my other. I'm going to say, let's say I want to spend 5 hours a week on that. Then you can get that to show up in your session tracker. If you dragged this into any of them, you can switch that to be housework, and then it will automatically bring up that bucket. So there you go. Now you have an extra bucket. I am going to delete that because I don't want that in my template. Now, one last thing, this roll up is totaling the hours from anything in this database. And I really wanted it to be a tally of the current week and not of all time. So I created this little toggle here for a secondary database that is an archive. So once you've dragged each of those cards into the archive tab, you've got a new clean week ready to start your tracker again for the next week. Now, if this starts to get really cluttered, I added a secondary filter to the board view where it will not show the cards if you click this field called archive. So you'll see I have some other tasks already in here. I've checked archive off on that, and now this board is empty. So once that starts to get cluttered, just go over to this table view, check them all off, and it'll be clear again, just to make space, make it not so overwhelming. Now, if you need another walkthrough of this at any point, you get confused, you can go up here to this link to watch this video that you're watching right now. That's what's linked here. And that'll bring you to that page. If you ever want to edit the ritual card, like the one that is duplicated, you can click this button and click here. And now you'll see up here, it says you are editing a template button. That will edit this page that gets duplicated when you click that button. So like, if you're like, ugh, this is too cluttered, I just want to get rid of all the prep work, you can do that. Or I don't want the timer. Whatever it is, you're going to edit that in the template, which means anytime you click that button in the future, it will reflect those changes and be different from what I built. But please customize to your will and make this work for how you need it to be. Everyone's brain's a little bit different. Design this ritual to be optimized for you and your needs. All right, one last thing to cover before we sign off. I do have this little signature here linking to my Instagram and my YouTube and a link to buy me a coffee if this is helpful to you. I am most motivated to do this to connect with like-minded people and to build community. So hit that like button, click subscribe, click the bell so you get notified on future videos, and leave a comment and tell me what about this was helpful or what you would change or adjust with it. It really means a lot to me to know that you're engaged with my videos. So thank you so much for watching this to the end. Hopefully all of that was clear and you left with something that's useful and actionable, and you'll continue to use it to do your holy shit. I can't wait to see what you make. And until next time, I'm Christy Casey, here to remind you that we are all making belief. See ya.